All right. So if you're watching this, you're watching the recording of a live presentation. So the beginning of the presentation, I'm gonna skip over a few slides just because we already worked on that. I want to make sure that that I'm respectful of the privacy of the people that are attending the class on Zoom. They might not want to be on camera. So we just started recording now, and like I said, I'm gonna skip a few slides, but we are talking about networking secrets for lead generation. What does this mean? We're going to learn the easiest and fastest ways to create leads, and eventually those leads will become clients. And hopefully, we're doing this by creating, improving, and maintaining relationships with other event professionals. This is called networking when you're building those relationships with those professionals. So, like I said, I'm going to skip over a few things. You know who I am. If you are watching this video, probably, hopefully, you know who I am. And this was our icebreaker. We already shared about our responses. However, I'm going to leave this with you. So, what is the first thing that you wish you could tell people for the first time when they meet you? Sometimes we are very professional, especially when we're doing events ourselves and we present ourselves in a way. But if there is something about your personality, your life, or something like that that you want to tell people when they meet you the very first time, what would that be? So I leave you with that. Think about it. If you are watching this on YouTube, you can share it in the comments. All right. So now I am going to talk to leave this with you. Phrases to live by when you're talking to other vendors and clients, providers, family, everybody. So first, judging a person doesn't define who they are. It defines who you are. Think about that. So sometimes we go to events and we're working with other vendors, and we probably see that the DJ is very upset. And we see that the baker or the cake person, the person is stressed and in a rush or things like that. So sometimes we start making all these stories about their lives and their professionalism and what happened without even asking or without even knowing the whole picture. So sometimes we can say, oh, that person is very stressed because this, and this. And it's not reality. It could be something completely different. So it's better just to not have an opinion at the moment unless you do a little bit of research. And the best way to do research is to ask the person directly. But I'll leave you with this phrase. Think about it. And if you want to share about how do you feel about this phrase, let me know. Next, the best way to avoid disappointment is to not expect anything from anyone. Why do I say that? Because sometimes we have in our minds, we have expectations for other vendors according of what happened to vendors or situations that happened before in our businesses. So we try to see what are the difference in between this catering company and this catering company, and what is the difference in between that past client that I had a couple of years ago and this client that I'm doing their event this weekend. So the best way to avoid disappointment is to not expect anything. Just go with the flow. Everybody is different. Everybody is going to behave, and comparison is not going to take you anywhere. And then the last one is this is something that a phrase that I remind myself constantly when I meet new people or when I'm talking to people that I already know. Treat others like you want to be treated. If you want to have respect coming towards you, if you want people to be nice to you, if you want um, community, to build a community, to have a friendship with other vendors, of course, it comes from you first. Of course, you have to be the first person to say, yes, I am friendly, I am kind, I welcome you with open arms. If you are a DJ, not because somebody else is a DJ as well, you're going to be mean to them. If you are a decorator, not because you find somebody that does decorations as well, you're going to be like not wanting to talk to them. So sometimes in order, even if they do the same thing as you have to, in order to build that relationship, you have to make sure that you treat them well. However, this is something that you want. Treat others like you want to be treated. Um, why do I share these? Let's go back for a minute. Why do I share these phrases? Because sometimes we forget that behind the business person, behind the CEO, behind the baker, the curator, the DJ, the creator, there's still a person. There's still a human that has to be treated like a human. So if in case we forget, these phrases might help you into building that relationship with them. So now, what is networking? So it is the exchange of information and ideas among people with a common profession or special interest. In this case, like right now, we are all wedding professionals in the Northern California area. So we want to make sure that we exchange information that has to do with our profession or with the services that we provide about the weddings that we have. Since we are in the same geographical area, there are many instances in where we can run into each other into those weddings. So the networking side of things will be to make friends or to at least get to know other people in the industry that are in my geographical area so that I can share information and ideas and I can make sure that I build a community around me that is going to be there for support and accountability. So there are so many benefits about networking with other professionals, but some of the most common ones are build trusting relationships with other vendors. How is this going to help you? This is going to help you, like for example, let's say that I do desserts. I'm a baker, and I want to know um maybe a technique about how to do a cake, or maybe I do it already and I know, but I want to know a more efficient way on how to do it. I can build that relationship with another baker and then ask for advice. That is going to be one of the greatest advantages of networking because you can ask for advice or you can ask for tips for to accountability. You can say to your new vendor friend, I have this cake and I'm doing it. I just want to make sure that today this is my list of things to do. Just ask me at the end of the day if I finish them because I want to know. I want to make sure that I finish today. So there are small examples like that. Another one is even if you don't make friends with the same people that have the same that do the same services as you can build relationships, trusting relationships with other vendors. For example, if you have a client that is planning their wedding for May, let's say May or June, and they already hire you as they hire you as your profession, DJ, baker, planner, etc. They already hire you and they said, okay, well, now I need somebody to do the bar, to be a bartender. I don't know any bartenders. I wouldn't even know where to look for that service. So you as a professional, you say, well, actually, I have a couple of people that I connect you with. If you refer a person that is reliable, professional, and that is within their budget price, you're going to be their hero. If you recommend somebody that got there late, that was rude to the customers, and that on top of all that, it was out of their budget, then you lose credibility with that client and many others to come. So when you build trusting relationships with other vendors, you build your professionalism as well. Another benefit of this is that it brings the opportunities to your business. Going back to the same example of recommendations, if you make friends with, let's say, 10 people in the industry, whether they do the same service as you or not, if you share that if you share your information with 10 vendors, and out of those 10, each vendor gives your number to a bride, you have 10 possibilities of doing one contract. And if out of those 10, 8 call you, and out of those 8, 6, they do a demonstration or a consultation. Out of those 6, 3 requested a quote, and out of those 3, you get one contract. That is, hopefully the numbers are bigger than that, but that is one client that you didn't have before. So if you have these opportunities of business, sometimes I have seen collaborations in between businesses that they start working together in order to bring more clientele to their own businesses. So that is a huge advantage for that. Now, it increases your visibility among the event industry. When your name gets out there, whether it's with clients or whether it's with other vendors, if the vendors are talking good things about you, if it is all positive, if it is all nice, and they say, yeah, I will recommend this person because so and so recommended it as well, or because they have these good amazing qualities, then you start getting credibility among the industry professionals, among other planners, other DJs, other caterers. You have visibility in the community. Talking about, for example, in our city, Sacramento, California, there is a community in where if you don't know them in person, if you don't know somebody in person, you know that is the friend of a friend. So it is a community in where we kind of know each other a lot. So, or at least we have heard of these names, business names or people's names. So once you have that credibility with a few vendors, the chances are that it's just going to increase more and more every time they talk about you. Next, it creates support and accountability for yourself. If people are talking good about you, it increases your visibility. If you're bringing new opportunities and you're building trusting relationships with the vendors, now you have to be accountable for yourself and your business, because you think, okay, my name is out there, I'm having people saying good things about me. I cannot be lazy, or I cannot be not answering inquiries from referrals or from people that know about me. And it gets you on track to be more successful than you already are. For support, it's like I was talking in the first example. For support, if I need something from a vendor, or if I need a referral, or if I need even to rent material or a tip or advice or something like that, you can get that support from the community that is surrounding you. Instead of seeing these people as your enemies, you can see them as your friends that will help you to bring more clientele to your business. There are so many ways, so many, to collaborate in the event industry. So I'm going to start with social media. And I know that for a lot of people, it's not the ideal because you don't get to see people in like person to person, and it is hard sometimes to communicate on text or social media, or it feels not authentic, or it might feel that it's not real just because you don't see the person. But social media is a great way to collaborate with people, especially to start to getting to know each other. And one of the things that you can do, even if if nobody introduces you, you can introduce yourself. If you see somebody follows you on social media, and then you notice that they are a vendor in the event industry or the wedding industry, follow them back and then introduce yourself. If, for example, you have a makeup artist that follows your page and they don't say anything, it is on you to say, oh, I see that you follow my page, thank you so much, I followed you as well. I do provide these services in the Sacramento area, in the Northern California area. I cover these counties, whatever it is. But introduce yourself, because that will be the very first impression that they have of you as a business owner. Then after that, you can build relationships into more things and more ways that you can collaborate with other businesses. One of them is the style shoots. This is a way to collaborate with somebody where everybody puts a little bit of their work in order to make something very special. A style shoot is when people work and bring their services out of pocket, out of their own time. Most of the time, there's some that you have to pay for that, but let's think about, like, usually the norm is when people provide their services at no cost to create a mock-up of a wedding in order to have video and pictures for social media, marketing, and advertising. So this is when everybody gets together as community to create a mock-up wedding, which is a lot of work, especially if you have more than, let's say, 8 vendors. It's still a lot of work. Even if you are doing it for fun, there's still work involved in that. So when you have a style shoot, sometimes you have 1 or 2 vendors from each category, meaning like you have 2 makeup artists, you have 2 photo booths, 2 decorators, 2 bakeries, things like that. Sometimes it's only 1, but you can connect with them. And even if you're not interested into hiring their services directly, you have possible clients that they might hire them. So this is a great way to see how they work, how professional they are, and to create connections that way. Another way to do it is on Mixer. So if you haven't attended a Mixer, or if you haven't done something in person, it is an amazing way to connect. Not only because it's in person, but also because you get to see the personality of these people. Like I mentioned before, there's many event professionals that they're humans. Well, there's not many, everybody. Every single event professional is a human. So you have to treat them as such. And by going to a Mixer, by going to something in person, you get to share stories about weddings. You get to share about your struggles, your successes. If somebody has a question about something specific that maybe somebody that is not in the industry might not know the answer for, you can ask somebody that is a wedding professional, and they'll know what you're talking about. Or they have you have a situation that happened to them a long time ago or recently, and they were able to figure out, and they can share that recipe on how you can figure out as well. So it is a huge advantage to know people in person. Besides that, it is more the in-person touch, it is more intimate, meaning you can create that friendship. You can be more firm and more open into creating that relationship with other vendors when you do things in person. Another amazing way to do this is bridal shows. Even if we are there to meet other clients and to meet other people, you see, again, you see more of their work. You see how they work, you see their professionalism, you can check and see if you share some interest, if you share the vision of how you want to take care of your businesses. So bridal shows is an amazing opportunity to do this as well. Another one, pretty much very similar to style shoots, are sponsorships. This is more like when somebody has an event or whatever they want to do. It could be a style shoot, it could be a bridal show, it could be an open house, and they ask you to provide something some of your services at no cost. Again, and some people are against that because they think, well, I'm not going to give away my time, my money, because I'm not getting anything back in return, meaning there's no money that is coming into my bank account. However, if you have the time to do it, and if you have the means to provide that service at no cost, you can use that as your advantage to meet other vendors, to create relationships with them. Again, when you create those relationships, they trust you, they refer you to other clients, and then you convert those clients into dollars that will be going to your bank account. So this is an amazing way of getting to know other vendors in the industry as well. Now, you do have to put a little bit out of pocket at the beginning. However, if you know how to work it and if you know how to take advantage of these relationships, they will be paying customers coming from those relationships. Another one that is very similar are giveaways. Now, there's a lot of people doing giveaways in social media when sometimes people don't know each other, like the vendors don't know each other. But it's an amazing way of creating community and coming together in order to give amazing prizes to clientele. And one of the rules, or one of the basic rules that I've seen in many of the giveaways is that you have to follow everybody that is on the social media post, if they're doing it on social media, or there is something like you have to follow them, you have to like their picture, something like that. So there is another opportunity in where, yes, you have to put a little bit of your money, but at the end, the reward is much higher, because if you have one client, let's say that you give something that is $200 or $300 in value to you. But if you get one client, you can recoup that money right away. Now you have to be smart. If you're doing a giveaway, you're not gonna give away thousands of dollars. That is why when you see this post, it's usually a few vendors or a few businesses coming together into giving an amazing price, because the point is to have a lot of businesses put little or a small thing, so they can create an amazing big prize that a person can win. So you're not going to do something that breaks your bank account, but look at it as an investment, like the same way that you advertise, the same way that you market yourself. This is an investment that you do in order to get clientele. All right, I have a comment here on the chat before I move on. I have a comment here on the chat that it says, sometimes you give more than what they are actually ready to pay for. That is the point. If you're doing a giveaway, if you're going to style shoot, if you're doing a sponsorship, you have to make sure that it is something that you can actually pay, that you can actually do. If somebody comes to you and says, well, I need you to provide this service, but it comes up to, like, if you were to send an invoice or a contract, it comes to $4,000. If that's something that you can do and that is not going to, again, break your bank and is not going to be a trouble for you, then go ahead, do it. If that amount is way higher than what you expect to provide for a style shoot, a sponsorship, or a giveaway, then don't do it. If it doesn't make sense, then you don't have to say yes. Sometimes saying no, it is the correct answer. So you have to be smart about those investments as well. Even if it is only time, and if time is a commodity that not a lot of people have plenty of. So even if it is only time that you have everything and you actually don't have to pay anything out of pocket, only your time, you have to see if it makes sense to you. If it is a couple of hours that you can take on a regular day, that there's nothing that's scheduled for your family and or for your personal life, and you're okay with spending that time with other vendors, go ahead, take that opportunity. If it is something that is requiring you for you to be there the whole day, and you're gonna miss something with your family, or you have to miss regular work, or you have to say no to a wedding in order to go to this event, then it doesn't make sense. Then there's a chance for you to say, well, not this time, maybe later, but this is not for me at this moment. All right, so referrals. We all love referrals. This is, so there is a technique that is called know, like, and trust. The people that hire you, they have to know you or know of you in order to like you. When they see your post, when they see your pictures, your services, maybe they saw you at a different wedding and a different event, and they like what they see. They see somebody that is a professional, that they have good quality materials, or that they, if they did the cake, the desserts, or the food, that it was something good and worthy of whatever the bride and groom paid, then they trust you to provide the same service that they saw to somebody else, whether it's another client or if it is for themselves or maybe another vendor. So when they know of you, they like you, and they trust you, there is a huge advantage for you to build your reputation in the event industry. You get to be seen as a connector. When you have a client and the client is asking you for a DJ, like they don't have a DJ and you have the perfect person for them, and maybe you even give them 3, 4, 5 choices, and you give them all the information, you are seen as a connector in the event industry. So more likely will people will say that you're a professional because you know a lot of people in the industry, because you give good referrals. That is not, again, like I said before, it's not people that are going to flake on them or that they're not going to provide a good quality service. You create this reputation of being a connector as well with other vendors. If I refer you to my client and then my client is an easy client to work with, where they know the value that they're paying for each service, then the other vendor might say, well, this person actually gives me a lot of clients, or maybe not a lot, but this person gives me good quality clients. Then I'm more eager into, if I have two people interested for the same date, I might be inclined to take the referral from this vendor because I know that they have good quality clients, instead of trying to figure out the hard way. Or you might have that advantage into being the first ones that they call. So it is a good way of getting to be known in the event industry, being a connector. Then when you send referrals, when you either refer a vendor to your clients or a client to your vendors, you might find people with the same values, beliefs, and work ethic, especially with vendors. If you have people that are that manage the same professionalism as you do, then you're going to find that you share the same values and beliefs, and it's going to be an easy situation for everybody, for your client, for the vendors that you refer to, for the people that are enjoying the party or the event. Another advantage of referrals is the consistency. The consistency and support that is being created out of this relationship of trust. What does that mean? The same that I was saying previously. If I have a vendor that is giving me a lot of clients, and I see the consistency of good quality clients that come in through my sales funnel, that every client that this vendor is sending me is a good paying client that knows the worth of my services, that is not going to be overly picky, or that they're not going to be trying to get the most out of my services for the less money, then I'm going to create that relationship of trust. I'm going to be more open into getting clients from these vendors in order to build my clientele in my own business. All right. So here are some tips that I want to share with you when you do your in-person meetings. Because sometimes I think that after the pandemic, sometimes we forget how to behave when we meet in person. It is now with Zoom and with any other Google Meet or any other instances in where we use technology. Sometimes it's very easy. We kind of know the way to behave in Zoom meetings, but sometimes when we in person, it's like, oh, I forgot how to react. When you go to in-person meetings, mixers, bridal shows, if there's an event that another vendor is doing, that it brings another vendors in the industry, you want to make sure that you do quality over quantity. Sometimes we tend to try to talk to everybody in the room. If there's 50 people, we want to meet all of the 50 people. We want to make sure that we shake hands with everybody, that we tell about ourselves and our businesses to somebody else. And sometimes we forget to create that relationship with them, or to have good quality time in where you get to meet each other. So sometimes it's better to, if there's 50 people on the room, 50, 60, 80, that I get to talk to maybe 5, maybe 10 at the most, but that I actually create a connection with them in where I know not only their name and their business and their phone number, and I exchange business cards, in where I actually get to talk to them and see, What do you do? Who do you service? How do you start your business? You can be creative into what you want to ask them. So if you want to create those relationships, spend quality time with them instead of trying to meet everybody that is attending the events. Now be creative with the small talk. We are so used to say like, oh, what do you do for a living, or what is your business about, and then you start thinking, and once when you're in this kind of in-person meetings, sometimes you catch yourself saying the same thing over and over and over again, because the very same questions are being asked, and because you answer the same way all the time. So when you do your small talk, and if you're approaching somebody, you can ask questions related to the business, but you can ask questions that are creative. If we are in the event industry, if we do weddings, if we do events, we are all creative in a way. So try to channel that creativity into the questions that you're gonna ask somebody else. So for example, if you see, especially like if you have a name tag or things like that, um, or if you have your business name, anything that you can think of, or their clothes or their hair, their personality, something like that. But let's say that you see somebody's name tag and then you see their business name, and it clearly says um, Dream Decorations, like for example, my business. If it says Dream Decorations, oh, you do decorations? Well, yes, it says that right on my business tag. But also, you can, instead of doing that, you can ask, oh, how do you come up with the name? I see that you do decorations. How you come up with the name? How long have you been in business? Did you chose the name, or somebody else did it for you? Or well, how were you inclined to do decorations instead of something else? You can say, if you see something about their clothing that catches your eye, oh, that is an amazing purse. Is there a story behind it? If there's a story, they will tell you. If there is one, then you'll have an amazing story to hear. You can say like, once you are more into the talking side of things, you can ask people if you're comfortable enough, and if you feel, you have to know how to read the room as well. If you read the room and you see that everybody's comfortable, you can say, oh, tell me about your best client ever. I want to know. Tell me about your worst client ever. I want to know the red flags and how to avoid them and what to do. So be creative. Be creative in your questions. Let's go pass over the what's your business? What do you do? How long have you been in business? Into tell me a juicy story about a wedding that you have done. All right. So then another tip that I would highly suggest of having is to have a clear goal in mind. What does that mean? If I'm going to a mixer, if I'm going to a professionals event, if I'm going to do some networking, am I going there to have fun and just, try to forget about the stressful life of a business owner, or because it's my only night out of the house and I get to enjoy myself? Or is it because I want to make connections with other people? I want to get to know. Maybe a lot of people are asking me about, um, let's say, a mobile bar. And I want to make sure that I find people that I can refer to, because I don't know anybody that owns a mobile bar, and I want to make sure that I find somebody. If that is my goal for the day, I'm not going to be talking with DJs, even if they're fun and they're nice. I'm not going to be talking with DJs. I'm going to try to find the people that own a mobile bar, because that is the goal that I have in mind. Because a lot of people are asking me, a lot of my clients are asking me, where do I find these kind of businesses? And I don't know any. So if that is my goal, I'm going to see if there's anybody there in the room that has that kind of business. Another example would be, if my goal in mind is to have a lot of people know me, or to know of me and my business, then I should be prepared into what I'm going to say. We all have heard about the elevator pitch, where you explain about your business in less than a minute. So have that ready. If that is the point that you want to make, have that ready. If you want to make sure that you stand out, then have amazing business cards, or a way that in the with the people that you connect, they remember something about you or your business. If your goal is to connect, to have like meaningful relationships and to create meaningful relationships with other vendor, then you have to make sure to spend time with them. Again, quality over quantity. If you want to make trusting relationships with them, you're not gonna go like, oh, hi, nice to meet you, my name is so and so, and this is my business, bye. Hi, nice to meet you. That is not the way to do it. That is not gonna work. So if you're clear, if your goal is clear and what you want to do is to create relationships with them, you're going to spend the time to get to know them and to ask creative questions and to make sure that you exchange information and you have a follow-up about that. Then the next one, practice active listening. This is something that we are not very good at sometimes. Active listening. This is something that we should be doing more of. What does that mean? Active listening is when you're hearing somebody else's story, don't interrupt, wait until they're done, and try to comprehend what they're saying. It's not just hearing what they're saying. It's listening and taking things from that conversation that you can use to later remember where you can have another conversation, sorry, where you can have another conversation and say, okay, yeah, last time he talked about this, I'm gonna bring it up again, just to create conversation. Another thing is that if somebody is very, like, if you're were creative with your small talk and you said, oh, where does your business name comes from, and they have this amazing story that they want to share, and you are not listening and you're just asking more questions and interrupting and not really paying attention, that is not gonna create the trust in the relationship. They're gonna feel that they're being stepped on, or that they're not, that you don't have interest into the story that they're saying or they're telling. So practice active listening is a great thing to do. I see on the comments that somebody said sometimes they only hear what they want to hear. That's true. Sometimes you don't pay attention, and it is when you're not, when you don't have that clear goal in mind, you're not thinking about, maybe you're thinking about, they're saying the story and you're thinking about your grocery list or about the things that you have to do when you get home. You're not really paying attention of what they're saying. So you might miss some good points that they have, or some knowledge they want to impart, or just an amazing story, like I said. So yeah, some people, if you are not concentrated into going to the mixer, into doing the in-person thing, then maybe it's a good idea of you to sit this one out and go to the next one when your mind is clear. And then the last one, follow up. How many vendors do you meet at these mixers, at these events, and you never hear from them again, and you never make the choice to reach out to them? So if you met somebody in person at a mixer, a networking event, and you exchange business cards, follow them on social media. If they have their phone number and there, give them a text the next day. It was so very nice to meet you. Hopefully we can connect soon. And don't just leave it at that. If they said, yes, it was an amazing, let's connect. A week goes by, a couple of weeks go by, and then you invite them to coffee. Or you said, oh, do you want to talk over Zoom about business stuff? And then you meet on Zoom. Or do you want to have a phone call? Um, I don't know, I have this client that is asking me this stuff. Maybe you have a response from them. Do you mind jumping on a call? Follow up with these conversations, because that is going to, it's the same way that you make friends, right? The friends in real life. You don't only go and meet people and they said, "Oh, it was very nice to meet you," and then nothing happens, you actually actively try to create a relationship with them because you got to know somebody that you really liked to be friends with, or because they have very important information that you want to listen to. And so you reach out to them. So, same thing over here. If you meet a vendor, if you meet a professional that you had a connection with, and you think that you can build a relationship, a business relationship with them, follow up. Again, give them a follow on social media, text them, invite them to coffee, something. There's so many possibilities that a follow up is always a good thing that you can do. Now, every single time that I talk and that I give a presentation, I give you recommendations because there's many things that we can learn from. So I read a lot, I listen to podcasts a lot, and like many of you, I spend a lot of time on social media. So I want to make sure that when I do all of these things, I have things that actually are going to improve my business, and I'm not just I'm not just scrolling and looking at videos of cats and dogs. And if I read books that are good books that are going to be um, beneficial to my business. So I'm going to recommend this book that is called Friend of a Friend. It's actually called Friend of a Friend of a Friend of a Friend of a Friend. That is the title. But it's by David Burkus, and it just talks about the power of networking. It talks a lot about many businesses. It's not only the wedding industry, but it's a very good book because it gives you many tips that you can do. If you're an introvert, it tells you what questions you can ask. If you're an extrovert, it tells you how you can contain yourself in order to make sure that you do the active listening and that you give the opportunity to other people to chime in into the conversation. So this is an amazing book. I do believe there is an audio version of that if reading is not your thing. I believe there is a book as well on that. I don't know the hours, but pages I believe is about 200 pages, so it could be a good read. And then the podcast, there is this podcast called The Wedding Pro CEO. Many of you probably heard of it already. There's on episode 45, it's about how to increase your visibility with the style shoots. So because I talked a lot about them, I a lot of vendors might be hesitant into participating into a style shoot because there is no monetary compensation for that. But I think that it could be a good thing that you can do as long as you feel comfortable with that and it's not going to break the bank and it's going to be beneficial for your business. I think it's a very good thing to do. So if you listen to this episode, if you have never done one or if you didn't have very good experiences, I will highly recommend this episode so you can make the most out of it. And then on social media, this is one of my mentors that I very look up to. Alan Berg, he has a podcast as well. So if you can listen to that, that's amazing. But he has books, many books, I believe 7 or 8, and they're all related to the wedding industry. But he has many good things and a lot of knowledge to share about the wedding industry. So that is somebody that I follow on social media that I try to whatever topic that he has on mind or that he's talking about, he has very good input about it. So I try to follow as much as I can all the knowledge and gather all the knowledge and information from him. So if there's any that you want to add, maybe you can share them on the chat. Um, there's so many good books and podcasts nowadays. Technology is amazing because before you used to have to go to the library or the bookstore and get the book and try to see. Now you can check books and see other recommendations from people, reviews. The podcast the same. You can listen to a snippet of it. So make the most out of technology and social media and try to use it to your benefit for your business. Um, and then I believe that is the end of the presentation. I'm gonna stop recording soon, but I just want to remind you There is a couple of ways that you can work with me. If you are a wedding professional, you can book an strategy session. It's a 45 minutes coaching session. You just DM me and then we'll put it into the books. I send you a questionnaire to know about the things that you want to work on. And then after that, we have our session. And then I give you an action plan of the things that we talk about. And a couple of weeks, or depending on what it is, a few weeks after our session, I give you a follow up and see your improvements out of the things that we talk about. And then another way to work with me is the monthly mastermind. So every second Tuesday of the month, I have a mastermind meeting free of charge to you. So we touch on different topics every meeting. There's more information on my pages, social media, Facebook and Instagram. But this is a very good way to network, actually. This is nationwide, so we have a lot of people from many different states and cities. However, um, I have seen in our mastermind there are people that have connected even if they are miles away, like hundreds of miles away. We have, for example, we have a few balloon artists that they talk to each other when they need materials or when they need advice on something. We have some people that have chimed in into how to market themselves, how to advertise, and then you can get, if you need an accountability partner, maybe your accountability partner is here at the mastermind. So I would highly suggest to join us again every second Tuesday of the month. If you need more specific information, check my pages on Instagram and Facebook. I'll put it right here. And then you can find more information there. All right, so I'm gonna stop recording now because we're going to go into the Q&A. Again, I wanna make sure that the people who are here, we protect their privacy because they might talk about very specific things about their business or their experiences. So I'm gonna stop recording right now. But if you wanna keep the conversation going, then let me know, send me a DM and we'll make sure that we get more information about networking. All right, thank you so much. Give me a second, I can't do this. Stop.